watching us here on a very, very special conversation here on CNBC-TV18. When we talk about World Cup victories, you have a few images that come to your mind. One of them, of course, is that famous Dhoni 6. But something that hasn't been spoken about very often are the 3 maidens that this man bowled, and being India's largest wicket taker or highest wicket taker in World Cups. We have Zaheer Khan with us. Zaheer, thank you so much for joining in. And you've been a champion, not just the World Cup campaign, everything that you've done. You set the tone, and a lot of young bowlers and batsmen, all of them look up to you. Thank you for that.
I feel very humbled to hear all these things. The World Cup, of course, everyone talks about, and it's a special memory. It just feels great that your contribution has helped your team to achieve what we've achieved. It's just amazing memories, and very excited that the World Cup again is in India, and the team is shaping up very well, looking good. So there to support the team, very excited.
The way everyone's come together, how optimistic are you of our chances?
Very, very optimistic. Backing the team through and through. Things are looking very good, shaping up very nicely. A lot of positives. I think it's a nice balance of experience and youth in the team, which should help. It's great to see the injury list, which was a concern leading up, is taken care very nicely, and those guys are also looking very good. Have scored runs for the batters, which were on that list, and Bumrah seems to be looking very good right now. So that's something which is a great positive. I'm very happy to see him bowl those outswingers, the Yorkers, the slower ones. Everything is falling into place. Siraj also has been very good. Kuldeep is in wicket-taking form. So yeah, a lot of positives when you're looking at the squad.
When you're looking at the squad and when we hear you analyze everything, I just go back to what Virat Kohli has coined in terms of your name. Strategy Baba, that's what he calls you, right?
Idea Baba.
Idea Baba. So, this strategic mind of cricket, how do you cultivate that over a period of time? And you've helped everyone, right? From fielders to batsmen to bowlers, all of them?
I've always had that inclination. Every time I used to go back into playing first-class games after playing for India, then I would try different kind of field sets. You have kind of not experimentation, I would say, but things which you don't want to try in a high-pressure game.
Right.
When everything is at stake, you don't want to try completely new thing. But if you've tried it somewhere, you know that okay, that reference point is always there, that it can work, and then you try and be very proactive as the game is unfolding, and that it just used to keep me ahead of the game. So that's something which I would always try and tell others. Be it Ishant, Munaf, whoever I was playing with, or just having a discussion around the game. Sachin would always be at mid-on, so that's another cricketing brain which you don't want to miss on. So, those discussions also I always used to enjoy. See, outside of the game, all those things which happen, the technology, the data analysis and everything which goes on, the tactical side of things which goes on, is all good. I'm not saying that those are not good things, but those should be the reference points. Then once you are in the game, you're actually going with the game, how it's unfolding, how the pitch is, and then you try and use the references which you had outside, the discussions which you have outside to aid your decision making and your thought process.
Can you give me an example of something that you tried in a first-class game and that did well over a period of time, and then you use it in a real-world situation and that got you some success?
Well, there are so many of the things.
Let's tell.
As the T20 format came into existence, there were a lot of matches being played, and I actually started realizing that the game is becoming too power-oriented, and then everyone is looking to muscle the ball. Invariably, you will more be targeting on the onside.
Yes.
So that takes the covers out, and I started not putting the covers in the T20 games. Everyone is just looking to use power, and when you're using power, you invariably are going to open up onside, which is going to leave this hole on the offside. So you just kind of take those things to your advantage. So I would not have covers, and then I would take all the bowlers on that page of looking at the game in that way. So small little things, I can go on and on about
I know you can go on and on. You've spoken about a lot of small little things, but the big thing was the knuckle ball. Tell me the story of the knuckle ball.
It came into existence because of my action and maybe in the mobility in my shoulder. I was not able to bowl the back of the hand a slower one. So I tried that, didn't really work. The off-cutter slower one which I used to bowl, my action would change a little bit. That would give batter that little bit of advantage of picking, okay, it's a slower one coming. So I was thinking, what can I do which will work for my bowling style, my bowling action. Charles Lagerfeld used to do that, South African bowler. I had seen him run and then just take the fingers on the seam.
Got it.
So it wasn't like a knuckle ball, but it was just kind of getting his fingers on the seam and then slowing the ball down. I kind of took a cue from there and taken it to the next level of just not using the fingers at all and then just go bowl with the knuckle ball, with the knuckles, and release from the knuckles. That would slow down the ball considerably
without any
noticeable change in your action or your arm speed. So, those are the two biggest giveaways. And it took me about a year because earlier on I tried to get it in my run-up, which was very difficult. I don't know how bowlers do that.
It would have hurt, the ball is hard.
Yeah, I mean, it would bleed. Like every time I would bowl with a new ball, the skin would come off, it will be bleeding, and then the hardness of the skin then takes care. So, yeah. So that's how it works, but pays great dividends.
Of course, we saw that. And when was the first time you bowled it in a match situation, and what was the result?
6.
It was a 6?
Yeah.
A domestic match, is it?
No, in fact, it was a T20 World Cup in Caribbean Islands, which was played. I was bowling against Warner, and it went for a 6. It was just a full pitch delivery, which went for a 6. I never used to bowl the way I was bowling that time. It was still an experimentation phase, but I thought I'll get away with that. Didn't. It worked well in a way because I had to go back, work on it further, and then I figured that okay, I had to run with the ball in other hand, then disguise it even further. Once that was done, there was still about 6 months for the World Cup, and I just made a conscious decision that okay, I don't want to give batters enough time to be ready for that delivery, and I just introduced it straight in the 2011 World Cup, which didn't allow the other guys to get on top of that, and worked for me.
And that's the story of a sports person's life, right? You try something, it fails, and then you back yourself to work harder at it, live through pain, and then eventually get the dividends that you do. Respect to you and all the other athletes for the same as well. Could you give us a sense of what were the 3 or 4 key pieces of advice that were given to you and by whom?
Well, I think it is just about having cricketing conversations. In fact, you'll be surprised that I've spent so much time with Sachin and had these conversations which were actually giving me insights about how the batter is thinking.
Tell me.
And the great example of that was in one of the test matches in Bangalore when we were playing against Australia. The left-hander batter was batting, I think it was North, and he was leaving the ball very well.
Right.
And as I was in the spell, Sachin was at mid-off. He came to me and was like, I just have an observation which I want to share with you. And then we had a chat in the spell like that. And as I was walking back, he would walk with me and then he'd have a chat. And he explained to me that how he is picking your line and it's just going to be hard for you to beat him from there because he's got a gauge of your release and the angle. But he said at the same time, if you go wider of the crease, even though you bowling outswinger to him, he's going to feel that the ball is coming at him and he will be forced to play at it. So fine a little thing, but for me also it was a great insight. I tried that right straight there in that spell, which worked beautifully, and then he started struggling after that. So these are the finer things which always help you get on top of a thing, and then it became for me an understanding about how the batter, and I started using that as a tactic more often than not of just creating that different angle so that the batter is finding it tough to gauge what you're throwing at it.
Trust Sachin to come up with the most meticulous piece of advice which suddenly changes everything. The one thing that stands out from everyone else who speaks about you, they say is how calm you always were on the field. You had told everyone that just smile before you bowl.
I felt that bowling was like in a way meditation of sorts for me. So it was just about staying in that moment. It's just about feeling the rhythm. It's just about letting yourself be. Don't preempt things.
Right.
And then once you are in that moment, then you are just letting yourself absorb everything what's happening around you. You know, where the bat is coming from, what kind of thinking a batter has, you know, the intent of the batter, footwork, you know, how can I get one up on him. All those kind of things then flow as the game is unfolding. So yeah, I mean, bowling was something which was like a meditation of sorts for me when I was.
So let's talk about the time when it wasn't a meditation. You know, tell me about some of the darkest phases of your life.
Well, I think injury is never good for anyone, and
Exactly.
Initially when I was having hamstring issues and stuff, so that time it was very hard for me to understand exactly what's happening. Biggest mistake which you do is you want to be back on the field as soon as possible,
Yeah.
and then you know you would not stick to the protocol of injury, which is like many times more often than not, the physio will always tell you, or a doctor will always say, doing less is more.
Yes.
So I did make all those mistakes
Yeah.
in the first couple of injuries which I had, but very soon with the right kind of advice, with having enough help around, I figured that it's important to just control the controllables. Don't push yourself to think about the things which are either ahead in time or have already passed. The best advice which I got through that phase was that when an injury happens, you can't escape any of the phases of how you feel. Then it's basically what you can do is that you can shorten each phase. So which means it's like if you are injured, you are going to be frustrated.
Yeah.
You know, you are going to feel disappointed. All those emotions are going to run very high. But you got to get out of that phase as quickly as possible and move on to the next phase, you know, which is now what is the solution. So it's either a surgery or a rest or physio or whatever it may be. Now that phase, whatever you've been asked to do, get to that phase and then follow that as a next phase. As you're feeling better, then don't get overexcited. You know, so that every phase you have to spend as less time as possible for you to get out of that whole
you know, this is life
situation.
advice. This is not just cricket advice, where if anyone's gone through anything which is not so good in their lives, you have to go through those phases. All you can do at best is
Yeah, you
shorten
can
those
either crib
phases.
about it and keep looking at, you know, what I shouldn't have done.
Ever
to
considered a
get
career in
injured.
motivation speaking? When you were appointed as the director of cricket operations in Mumbai Indians, you changed the fortunes of the team around. I mean, there was Mahila, and of course, with you coming in, we started winning and we won a couple of championships after that. What is it that you did differently? And importantly, what does the director of cricket operations do?
Well, yeah, when I joined, it was not the term which was used
Exactly.
for that position, and then after that, it followed suit with the other teams as well. Well, it's just about you know, using whatever you have, like these things what I was talking about. You know,
Yeah.
it's just about getting everyone on the right page, getting everyone on one page, looking at, you know, what's going to be helpful for the team. So I just went in with the philosophy that, you know, I can't keep everyone happy. You know, so as honest as you can be and as clear in your communication you can be, it's just going to be a better because you look at the IPL dynamics, you look at the team's composition and squads. You have 25 players.
Yeah.
You know, now 25 players
Can't be
and 11 are going to take the field. So how are you going to keep everyone happy? You know, it's never going to be possible.
And what happened after that is that every other team started to have a director of cricket operations. Do you think with the current Indian team already having a head coach, a batting coach, a fielding coach, a bowling coach, is there room for a position like director of cricket operations for the Indian team itself?
If you ask me how my first experience of the tour, you know, when I joined the team, there were not too many people around, right?
Exactly.
Like the computer analyst was just a term which was coming to existence. There was some guys trying to collect all the data.
Yeah.
A physio was just one physio, and he would double up to be a trainer, double up to be a masseur at
Masseur
times.
as well.
You know, so those were the days. And you look at today, there were so many things and specialization which is coming. So it's it's bound to happen. When you're looking at the way and the pace at which the game is growing, it's the specialization is the way forward. And I think at some stage it will be going to that level. So it will be layered in different ways. And I think from that point of view, if you ask me, then yes, I think that's something which is inevitable, I would say. Now, when it will happen, we'll have to wait and see.
Whenever that happens, I will be the first person to propose your name for that, given the incredible history that you have. But just let's be honest here. With so many people in the support staff, do you think at what point does it become too many cooks?
It depends on how you manage it, right?
Right.
See, everyone has been talking about a lot of lower order batters now are contributing, all those aspects. Why that shift has happened is because now you have 2, 2, 3, 3 sidearmers traveling with the team.
Yes.
Earlier it was like, the bowlers who would bowl to the batters, and then it will be bowlers who will go on to bat and the batters will bowl at them.
Yeah.
So there is a quality drop, right? If you're practicing that way, then obviously you're never going to be able to be prepared to face the great bowlers in the field. But with side armors, that thing is eased.
Let's put your strategic mind to test right now in the here and now. For the Indian team, the squad that we have, what would be your 11 and what would your role definition for each of them be?
You've taken Shubman Rohit as your openers. Now, if Shubman is not available, then obviously there will be a straight swap that Ishan Kishan would come in that place. You have Virat at number 3. At number 4, you have either Shreyas or Surya right now, is you can look at. And at number 5, you've planned the World Cup with KL Rahul being there. He's ticked that box nicely. He has put in all the work to be ready for the World Cup. At 6, you're going to have Hardik, who is going to add that power at that spot, and also with his all-round ability. So it will be very important that he bowls enough in this World Cup. That is going to be a very important factor. Then you can have the advantage, the flexibility of creating that lower order if required. If you want an extra spinner, then you can create that position. At number 7, you're going to have Ravindra Jadeja, and then 9, 10, 11, you're looking at bowlers. But maybe if you want a seamer, extra seamer, looking at the conditions, then they're going to go in with Shardul. And if you want an extra spinner, if Hardik is in form and he's contributing well with the ball, then you will have that luxury of using the third spinner if you want.
So your top 4 for the semi-finals and top 2 for the finals? Your mind and heart together.
Well, the predictions, everyone has been saying India, England and Australia, right? The 4th team, they're saying either Pakistan or New Zealand, so that's where it is going. But for me, I've been saying that the dark horse and the team which is looking good is South Africa. And they are definitely going to be the dark horse for this World Cup for me.
And the final happens, India is one of them. Who's the other one?
No, from that point of view, I still feel India and England are the 2 strongest team in this competition.
The interesting thing about this format right now, as against the format that you played, was that there's no quarterfinals. So you were playing league games and suddenly there is a semi-final. Do you think everyone's capable enough of taking that pressure off right now?
No, this format, that way, you have to play 9 games. So you've got to be consistent over the 9 games.
Exactly.
And that's not going to make it easier. So, initial phase of the tournament, that's why it's going to be very critical. Those first few games from India's point of view, or for any team, it's going to be very, very critical that you get off the blocks very fast and with a lot of confidence.
What do you do about ODI as a format? I mean, the World Cup is here, there is excitement, everyone's watching it, but do you think this could perhaps be one of the last 8 ODI World Cups that we're witnessing?
No, I certainly don't think so, and I hope that's not the case. But I think in between, around the sport, what's happening, maybe the bilateral competitions are getting a little stale. I think the bilateral competitions, if they turn into multi-nation short series, then it will make things more interesting. In a way, I feel now when you're looking at white ball cricket, everyone is absorbing the game in a certain way, and I think or following the game in a certain way, and the table format, when you know that okay, there are 3 teams playing, 4 teams playing, and there is a competition to get to the finals and how they're going and where they're standing is something which gets everyone going. So maybe that's something which ICC can think of.
How do you teach the current Instagram, TikTok, Reels generation patience?
So that's a very interesting field. I think rather than me teaching them patience, I should learn from them how to use the technology and how to use the social media.
All right. What do you think has been your best financial investment?
Oh, this my wife takes care. So it's
that's
just
the best.
Yeah, so that's the best. So I just have to just follow whatever she's saying, and so she's big on equity, mutual funds, and stuff. So that's what she pushes me to do.
Your most cherished cricket moment, which is not the ODI World Cup?
Apart from the World Cup, then it has to be the Trent Bridge Test match. The spell which I bowled there was something very special and dear to me.
Everyone would. A piece of advice that changed your life?
When I started playing cricket that time, the conversation which I had with my coach then, Sudhir Naik, said the first conversation, he had told me that you're starting very late.
Yeah.
And you have all the players here which you're seeing around, they start at the age of 8, 9, 10, and that just kind of created that urgency in me. And I also knew that I have like 8, 10 years of a lag which I have to catch up on. So it just kind of created that environment around me where I'm just pushing myself to learn as fast as possible.
All right, and in one word, you'll have to describe your experience with the following. Sachin Tendulkar.
Genius.
Saurav Ganguly.
Shrewd cricketing brain.
Yuvraj Singh.
Flamboyant.
Harbhajan Singh.
Funny, like he's full of life and has got he can get any party going.
Virat Kohli.
Driven.
MS Dhoni.
A smart thinker.
Rohit Sharma.
Rohit Sharma, I would say very, I'm just kind of thinking of right word, but the way he carries himself, like even and the way he is around with the team, like in his casual approach, he makes you feel very comfortable, and I think that's the great leadership quality he has.
Incredible. Thank you. But before we let you go, I have to tell you something. So we planned a little surprise for you. It's your birthday. You're a fellow Libran. We share our birthdays. So wish you a very, very
also
happy
8 October
birthday.
or 7th?
8th October. There we have it. Celebrations here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
So
Zach.
this is from me to you, since it's your birthday as well in a couple of days.
Thank you so much. And
Looks very healthy.
the dragon fruit.